Hey everybody, welcome to another video. It's been a little while and I haven't been putting out videos anywhere near the frequency that I was hoping to when I started this channel. But I'm here now. So basically the last few weeks, I think I've dropped one, maybe two videos, but I've been battling an injury which had me off my skateboard. But then into the recovery for the injury, I ended up getting cold, which kind of sidelined me even further. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, health and skateboarding. And what brought this on was that combination of the injury, the sickness, plus I had another birthday last week. And another birthday. Damn. 45. Anyway, not getting any younger. Nobody is. But this got me kind of thinking. So the injury was nothing serious. It's actually an injury that has been kind of ongoing for me. And so let me first start out by talking about that. So a few years ago, a couple years ago, I was working, in San Francisco, living and working in San Francisco. Wintertime, there's not a lot of sunlight, just like there isn't really in most parts of the Northern Hemisphere during winter. So I was working some long hours and I was going skateboarding only at night. Didn't really see the sunlight for a long period of time. And that equaled a severe vitamin D deficiency that I had no idea about until I went to my annual physical exam. So I was a little bit more sore than normal when I had finished skateboarding. Like the next day I'd wake up and feel like I was trying to battle like a 12 stair all day long, just totally wrecked. And it would often take, 2, 3, 4, 5 days to recover from just going out skateboarding, not even getting hurt. So had my exam, they did the blood work and found out, hey Nick, your vitamin D is pretty much close to bones crumbling and death, which I didn't feel that horrible, but apparently that's what the doctor said. So anyway, I started some intense vitamin D therapy, yada, yada, yada. I changed up my routine where I was going out at lunch, getting sun, and going out and skateboarding a lot more during the daytime, especially on the weekends, stuff like that. Whenever I could get into the sun, doing that to change that. Well, one of the things that happened while my bones were getting fragile from this was that on my pushing foot, I ended up fracturing my sesamoid. I believe it's the posterior or outer sesamoid. Fracturing that 3 different times. And I never went to the doctor for it. I just thought, I'm a skateboarder and skateboarders are tough and have a much higher threshold for pain and, a lot higher tolerance for pain than your average person. So, for me, whenever I'm hurt, it's like, I'll just take a few days off and I'll be fine. Well, I did this with the foot and it didn't heal up for a little while, but eventually it did. I took like a month off the board. I was fine. I went back and skated. I was even fine for a while after that. Then several months later, I started getting this pain in that same part of my foot that was getting sharper, lasting longer, and a heck of a lot more unbearable. So I tried to power through it. I tried different shoes, like super thick cup sole shoes, wedging a whole bunch of insoles in there, like all the padding I possibly could under that part of my foot. And it didn't help at all. So it got to the point where I was on a road trip, actually flew back to San Francisco, and I could barely walk myself off of the plane. So I went to the doctor, got this checked out. They thought it might be some kind of tendonitis in the foot, something like that. So I started doing some physical therapy. It helped, but it only helped really because I was off my board for a few months. 3 months before I got back on my board. I felt really good, got back on my board, started skating, and within a couple days the pain was right back and it was even worse. I couldn't drive my car, I couldn't do anything. It was terrible. So back to the doctor. MRI gets done, he studies the MRI and he finds out that I in fact did fracture that ball in my foot 3 different times. All 3 of them healed incorrectly. So instead of that nice smooth, like smooth ball of the foot, it kind of turned into like I guess more of a starfish shaped bone, and sticking out slightly on the bottom of my foot and irritating everything else around it. So I started a different physical therapy regimen and started doing some, I guess, taking some anti-inflammatories as well to kind of help that go down. So here I am, a couple more months off of my skateboard, and everything is feeling real good. I'm able to do a lot of exercises and stuff like that, and I was fine. So my doctor made me some of these. So he had these made. These are some custom orthotics, super hard carbon fiber heel. So these are made exactly to my feet. Super rigid heel for a lot of heel support. And then in the forefoot, it's super nice and, nice and padded. And where that bone sticks out on the bottom of my foot, I've got kind of a little, like a little donut hole, if you will, kind of cut out of the bottom. And that's so that bone is supported on the bottom of my foot. It's supported, and I'm not putting so much pressure down on my foot. It also helps a lot with just, feeling that bone. When I'm walking in a shoe without these insoles in them, I can feel that bone sticking out on the bottom of my foot. It just feels like I've got a lump in the bottom of my shoe. It's ridiculous. And, before I was diagnosed, I thought, damn, I just bought 2 pairs of shoes in a row and they're both defective. What is going on? What the hell's wrong with these shoes? Anyway, so I got that and I've been able to start skateboarding again. Fabian comes and moves into my house this past July. We go out and we skate every day. I mean, we're skating like at least 3, sometimes 5, 6 hours a day. We're out there doing it. My foot feels great, having a good time. But after a couple of months, it started to get a little sore. Not anywhere near the pain that it was in initially. But then, per doctor's orders, I would just take 1 week off, let it relax, and then right back to the skateboarding. So as Fabian was getting ready to leave, I went down to LA and spent some time down there, hitting a bunch of spots, doing a ton of skateboarding over a few days. And then when I came back home, my foot started to get a little sore again. Kept skating for another week or 2, but then I realized, I gotta shut it down for a couple weeks, and why not do it like over the holidays? So decided to shut it down. To add to it, I also developed a bone spur, and well, this is a shoe, but I developed a bone spur on the back of my heel, like right where the Achilles tendon attaches to the back of the heel. So I've got that bone spur kind of poking and prodding my Achilles tendon as well. So physical therapy for that, and that pain has been minimized quite a bit. Been doing some other things like some, foot soaks in apple cider vinegar and water. Whatever I can to keep that going. Plus, my doctor gave me some anti-inflammatories to take to reduce the swelling in that so it can somewhat heal. So I've been doing that. The Achilles gets a little sore sometimes. I'm very picky also as to what kind of shoes I can wear to avoid having an extreme amount of pain, especially when I'm driving my car. So skateboarding has been good. The other option that I had with all this stuff was surgery. So surgery meaning they would take off the Achilles tendon, shave down that bone spur, and then reattach the Achilles. And then they would also go in and they would have to, since that bone in the ball of my foot is essentially destroyed, they would have to remove that bone out of my foot altogether, and then basically take soft tissue in the areas around where that bone was, pull it and stitch all that stuff together, and just kind of form like a soft tissue, pack in where that bone used to be. Meaning I'll be short one of the 2 sesamoid bones in my foot. You can still operate, still do most things like that. Surgery's been performed countless times on career runners, people in the ballet, people in the martial arts that are on the ball of their foot regularly and doing very intense physical activity. Unfortunately, there's a couple of downsides. You take that bone out and there's not really anything else you can do. It's done, it's gone. So, one of the most common things that have happened with people that have this procedure is, one, they lose some of the balance in that foot. Not really a key thing for skateboarding, especially when you're getting a little older and your balance isn't what it used to be to begin with. But then the other downside is on the Achilles part. For the Achilles procedure on that heel, it would require at least 6 months of healing time, meaning, a month of not being able to be on my foot at all. Then another month of having a walking cast on. All this time, like no driving. And then after that, there's a long recovery with a lot of physical therapy. And then 6 months later, hopefully I'd be able to set foot on a board again. That's the last resort. And I think I'm doing pretty well at putting that off, hopefully indefinitely. I'd rather tolerate a slight bit of pain and discomfort than have to deal with surgery, the potential risks, and just being off my board now until, 6, 7, 8 months from now. So, moral of the story, and moral of the story is, when you get hurt, you can be smart about it. A lot of times you fall and you get hurt. A lot of it's just cuts and scrapes and bruises, things like that. That's not a big deal. That stuff heals, no sweat. It's those injuries where you wake up and the next day you're way more sore and it just doesn't feel right. I gotta say, just go to the doctor. So I have ignored going to the doctor for a good portion of my life. So many injuries. I've been skateboarding nonstop since 1985. And that means, nonstop, like getting out and skating every, a couple days or more every week, unless I'm injured. So I've had some injuries. The ones that were, I've had a couple serious ones that, of course I had to go to the hospital immediately. But an injury that, you can still somewhat function, but it really hurts, it doesn't feel right. Don't do what I did. Just go to the doctor and get it checked out. Had I gone to the doctor with this problem in my foot, when it started happening, we could have shut down and saved the life of that bone in my foot. And I wouldn't be dealing with this nonsense right now. So, blah, blah, blah. What's this old guy harping on about? Just think about it. If you're really hurt, go to the doctor. Don't just try to doctor yourself and think, oh yeah, I'll stay off my board for a month, 2 months, whatever it takes. If it takes that long before you start to feel comfortable again, that means something is seriously messed up and you should have gone to the doctor. So just do it. That's all I have to say, plain and simple. With that being said, I feel 100% and I have not ridden my skateboard in 3 weeks. So I think it's time to go skate. And feel free to comment if there's anything else you'd like me to talk about. If you want more details about all this nonsense with my foot, whatever it might be, shoot me a comment and I'll respond. Other than that, it's time to go skate. Later, guys.
What's that?
That's all it was. Caused all that pain. No, get that thing away from me. Gotta be kidding me.